People are always asking me, what did you do when you got sober? Because guess what? An alcoholic who is always has a drink in their hand, like part of the fear is, what the hell am I gonna do? Like, because I do everything drinking. Well, one of the things I did was I started working out. I started running, and I started eating healthier, and that was, hold on. I started eating healthier after a while, not right off the bat, because for the first probably year and a half, I think I ate a half a gallon of ice cream every night because my body was in withdrawals from sugar, from the alcohol. So my way to cope with that was eat a shit ton of ice cream each and every night, right in front of my wife, who was at the time a personal trainer and eating healthy as shit. And there I sat eating a bowl of ice cream like this every single night. Probably looking back on it was a very poor decision on my part. Not a very good, smart marriage decision, but I needed it, or so I thought. But I started running, and I would run at ridiculous times because I got up at ridiculous times, and that plays into one of the other things. Like, I started getting up at 3 o'clock in the morning. Why? I don't know. But probably because I just couldn't sleep. My mind was racing all the time. I had all these thoughts going through my head of like, what's going on? Wow, just afraid I'm gonna miss something, right? So I'd get up at 3 o'clock in the morning, I'd go run, work out, and that was my start of my day. And then I'd start working at 3 o'clock in the morning. And that kept my mind very busy and off of drinking. And that usually is a hard thing for a lot of recovering alcoholics, because the mental obsession is so bad at the end of your drinking. Like, that's all I could think about, right? So I needed to do things to keep my mind off of it. One of the other things I did after getting sober was you had to change 3 things. And I think these 3 things probably have led to my long-term sobriety. People, places, and things, right? I had to change who I hung out with. That sucked, and that keeps a lot of people drunk because they don't want to lose their friends. They don't want to give up all the good times. They don't want to give up going to the bar. They don't want to give up, but I could not hang out with the people I hung out with prior to me getting sober because, yeah, I could have hung out and not drank, but I didn't want to put myself in that situation, right? Why tempt yourself? One of the old sayings for people in recovery is, if you hang around a barbershop long enough, you're gonna get a haircut, right? And that is nothing truer could be said if you go to a bar every single day because that's what you did when you were drinking. Oh, I'm just gonna have a soda. I mean, eventually you're gonna say, yeah, with some rum, and then some shots. Shots. But, so I had to change my people, my places. Obviously, I didn't go to bars anymore. Now I can go into bars, I can go into restaurants. Like, I don't do it regularly, but like, I can do it with no issues, right? But early on, absolutely not. Never forget a couple, like 6 months sober, going into a restaurant, and the people next to us, they were drinking alcohol. And my wife freaked out. Are you okay? Are you okay? Are you okay? And you know what? I'm glad she did, because it was kind of weird, but I wasn't okay. It was really the first time I'd been that close to alcohol, like in 6 months, being sober. But it got better. It got better each and every time we went out to eat. But staying away from it early on was definitely one of the contributors, I think, that kept me sober, because a lot of people don't. They don't change those people, places, and things, and they're tempted. Recovery's tough enough on its own, let alone being around alcohol all day. You know, and luckily I'm grateful enough that my wife quit drinking when I got sober, so she made it very easy for me. And I love her for that. Aww. I love you, babe. Things. Some of the things I changed were, I substituted my drinking glass for a coffee mug. And I kept coffee in my mug all the time. And I probably drank 2 pots of coffee a day for years. I've since cut back a little bit on the coffee, but it's still is kind of a comforting thing every once in a while to have a mug of coffee sitting there, because I had a beer there all the time for years and years and years, right? One of the other things I did was I tried to hang around my kind, other alcoholics, because it was unbelievable what talking with another alcoholic can do for someone new in recovery. Because one of the things that kept me drunk was the fear of not having anyone. Alcohol was filling the hole in my soul, but I also had like new friends, other people that were going through the same thing as me, right? So guess what? Somebody that was maybe 6 months ahead of me already went through something I was going through or feeling I had, and I was able to bounce an idea off of them. But people that try to get sober on their own and don't talk with other people going through the same thing, like, I feel for them, because you gotta have that sponsorship, that kinship with somebody else who's just like you, right? And because it reminds you that, like, I'm not the only one. And, you know, numbers that people don't talk about is like 1 in 10 people are alcoholics, right? Like, but most of them don't know they are or haven't admitted they are. Now, if they knew that there was that many other people out there like just like them, you know, I feel like that, you know, if it was more out there for them to be able to get help, I feel like, you know, we could probably help more people. But I also know that no one's gonna ask for help until they're ready.
They have to see the problem.
Yeah. And you know what's funny is I was having a conversation with some of my fellow alcoholics the other day, in where I used to live, where actually when I finally got sober, there was a place where alcoholics met that was walking distance from my house. And yet, I never went there. I thought about going there for several years, but never could make it there because I wasn't done. I still had the shovel in my hand, digging my own grave. And it wasn't until I put that shovel down that I was willing to accept recovery and all of the work it would take to stay sober. And looking back on it, it was very challenging, but it also was very easy. Well, it was easy because the pain was gone. Like, I was drinking to fix the pain, but yet the drinking was causing the pain. It's this vicious fucking cycle. Like, and I had no idea because I was so in it. Then all of a sudden I removed the thing that was actually causing me the pain at the end, and my life started getting better each and every day. And all you have to do is play that tape forward. What's a drink gonna do? Now I know it's gonna return the pain. And now I live a sober life, and it's amazing looking at so many people are sober that I know now that weren't even alcoholics. They just have opted to live a sober life because they have more mental clarity, their health is better, they realize that they were drinking to cope, they didn't need to, and people are like addressing problems head on now because they're not masking it with the drink. And, you know, and the delusional world is over with. Another thing I started doing when I got sober was I kept a journal each and every day. I think my journal stopped maybe at like day 1300, but I kept a journal every single night and I wrote my day sober, 1, 2, 3, all the way through 1300. What's that, 4 years, 3 years, 4 years? And just put something I was grateful for each and every day. What did I learn? Something I was grateful for. You know, what did I have happen that wouldn't have happened if I wasn't sober? Right? Like the things that like were given to me, or not necessarily given to me, the things I earned because I stayed sober. I earned a better relationship with my wife. I earned a daughter. 6 months sober, we found out we were pregnant. I earned a daughter because my swimmers could swim. And I earned the love and respect from my family again. And I earned that by doing what I said I was going to do, and that was stay sober each and every day, no matter how hard it was. And now it's a maintenance program. Like, I'm on a maintenance program. I know when I'm not acting right, it's time for me to get my head right. Most of that time is because I'm thinking too much. I'm future tripping. And one guy I heard talk one time said, you know, we spend too much time cleaning up the wreckage of our future. Think about that. You sit around worrying about shit that hasn't happened yet, you can't do shit about. And that gets a lot of people worked up. Alcoholic or not. Now, I just worry about my hula hoop, keeping my side of the street clean, worry just about today. You know, I try to use it in our business. Sometimes you can't do that in the business world. You gotta kind of think about the future a little bit, right? Don't be so oblivious that you like, I'm not worried about that, that's tomorrow. No, you gotta like, remember this is a real world, but you don't know what the outcome's gonna be. It's not gonna be the worst thing in the world that happens, but that's where your brain will take you.
So you might be scared to be sober or become sober.
Yeah, I had a lot of shit to clean up. I had a lot of trash in my past. And you know, what's funny is that the alcoholics, they say it's like driving down the road and you got shit that happens to you, trash, and you just take it and you're just throwing it in the back seat, right? Keep throwing all the shit, like all the bad shit, oh, just keep burying it, keep throwing it in the back seat, then all of a sudden just slam on the brakes. Whoosh! And all that shit goes all over your windshield. That was what it was like when you got sober. So guess what? I had to take each piece of that trash and clean it up. And it wasn't until after I did that I start to feel relief. And I started to forgive the most important person in the world, myself. Forgave myself for all the shit that I did, all the wrongs I did people, because a lot of that kept me drunk. Because I wasn't always the best person in the world. And so when I forgave myself, I was able to forgive you, other people, because that's another thing that keeps alcoholics drunk for a long time is resentments. Getting mad at somebody else and just harvesting, oh, I'm so mad at them, blah, blah, blah. And you know, I just celebrated 10 years sobriety the other day, and I said, you know what? I don't keep resentments anymore. I may get mad, like initially mad, but most of the time I flip the switch, go like, well, can't let this shit bother me. Like, I'm not going to let me being pissed off you take up space in my head. That takes up space that I could be thinking about myself.
Selfish.
The number one thing alcoholics are, selfish. Right. So me thinking about you and how mad I am about you is taking up space where I could be thinking about how great I am. No, but like it's rented space in your head. Like, forgive. I'm quick to forgive. But I wasn't quick to forgive before I got sober. Now I have tools that I have to live by on a daily basis now to keep me calm, cool, and collected at most times. Do I still lose my shit? Sure, 100%. But I'm quick to apologize. I'm quick to make it right. Like, I can be in the middle of a conversation, tell you, go to hell, then realize that was wrong, I'm sorry, all in the same sentence. I'm known amongst my alcoholic peers for a saying that I'm the only person can say "F I love you" to my wife in the same sentence. Because I'm very quick to apologize and make up.
That came from having to forgive yourself, I think, so many times.
Oh, I never forgave myself when I was drunk. It was another, I fucked up again. Forget about that one, right? And another big thing is I started taking personal responsibility for everything in my life. No matter what happens to me, I have a part in it. Like, most of the time, if I'm pissed off at you, what part did I play in that? I have to objectively pull myself out of the situation and look at it as if I'm a third-party observer and go, what did I do? What did this person do? Was I right? Was I wrong? And look at it from that perspective, because that takes my emotion out of it. And when you look at a scenario like that, oh, well, I guess if I hadn't done this, then he wouldn't have done that, and now I'm mad at him. Fuck. You got a part in everything. One of my mentors goes as far as saying, if you're sitting at a red light stopped and somebody rear ends you, you have a part in that. You were there. That is the extreme of personal responsibility.